Radio Bypass, bringing you rock and roll music that deserves to be heard. Discover new bands. Here's some old favorites on Radio Bypass.
Hey, Radio Bypass. Last February, we introduced you to the band Crashing Wayward. And when the guys joined us at that time, they had just released their single, Breathe, killer song. Now their full debut album has just been released, came out June 9th, and returning to Radio Bypass is lead singer Peter Summit. Hey, Peter, how are you, bud?
Good. Thanks, Ralph. Good to be here.
Yeah, good to see you again. Exciting. The new record's out a few days. You've been getting good responses to it, I assume?
We have, knock on wood. Liking the responses that we're getting. And it's just kind of like, just starting. And a lot of, good buzz is happening right now. So we're all pretty stoked about that.
Excellent. And the new album is called Listen. I think I neglected to mention the album title. And you all should listen to it for sure. It's a great record. And before we even get into the record, people can order this a physical copy at rfkmedia.com, or where do they go to order a physical copy?
Definitely rfkmedia.com. There's also a few other online stores that are carrying it as well, but rfkmedia.com is the perfect spot to get it right away. Crashingwayward.com, we do have it available there to get the physical copies, which are CDs right now. And we do plan on having a vinyl coming out later, maybe midsummer. So I'm pretty excited about that.
That is exciting, yeah, especially if you can get it, because I know for a while it was hard to get vinyl produced.
Yeah. I think Ron has his connections, so we're counting on our fearless leader to make that happen.
Nice. All right. Well, let's talk about Listen. I've listened to the whole record. I'm still digesting it. We'll kind of go through track by track with you, but I got to start, though, a little bit down in the list of songs in the order that they're in on the CD, because the opening riff just caught me right away, and I keep hearing it in my head, and that's the song Staring at Ceilings. So tell us about that track.
Yeah, it's interesting you pulled that out. That's actually one of my favorites, and I feel is kind of like a sleeper in there in the album.
I do too.
Yeah, but it's something, it was written during COVID, and it was really about isolation, how one might be feeling when you can't get to somebody else. And I think it's outside of COVID, it's still relatable. I feel like definitely with, mental illness or people that just feel isolated internally. That's really what that is about, staring at ceilings, writings on the wall, building a palace of gold within somebody's own mind.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that was Stacy brought that to the table, and it was kind of just that, kind of like behind the beat, kind of bluesy rock, almost in like a Sabbathy kind of a way, when we heard it. And it's kind of like the lyrics just wrote itself, and it gave me that the ability to really hit some of that upper register in my kind of like, I always say I'm singing. I don't like to say I'm yelling or screaming, but right. It really gets me there in some some power and range, which I really love. And then by the time you get into the chorus, we're just, cruising, and it kind of takes a nice little change, it's it's one of my favorite songs.
Well, we're in agreement, because that's my front runner right
cool.
now. And I have a feeling it might stay that way.
Yeah.
I really love that song a lot. Okay, so I just had to jump ahead. But the opener is also, of course, really good. But there was just something special about that Staring at Ceilings. But album kicks off with Mouth to God's Ear, and I thought that was a pretty interesting track as well. What can you tell us about that one?
Yeah, so that was David Harris, our other guitarist, brought that. That was actually one of the very first songs that we wrote as a band, and I believe that was probably one of the two first ones that we presented to Mike Gillies, our producer, when we were pitching him to work with us. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of like one of those game changers. It was like, let's do this kind of moments with Mike and bringing him in. But that one is really kind of speaking to calling the end of hate in a way. It's kind of like our anthem for that. I think it's the perfect song to lead off the album because it's just like, 1, 2, 3, 4, you're straight into it,
Right.
and it is our set opener as well too. We do open our shows with it because we just kick right in. So that is kind of like that's where that is, calling the end of hate, anthem, and just high energy. And it was up for debate. Like it was leading with that and Closer to be the first initial single release for the album Listen, which Closer edged out. We were all kind of feeling Closer was the one that we wanted to go with for good reason. But it was tough because Mouth of God's Ear was another one that was a lot of our favorites that we felt was really strong on this album.
It is. Although Closer, because that line repeats itself so often. That's when we connected just now. That's the song I was just listening to, and right. That stays in your head though. So that is a good song to have as a single, I think, because the constant repeat and the way you sing it. I like the way just the word Closer sounds with the way you're singing it, and so that stays with you. So from a single perspective, that was probably still a good choice. Mouth to God's Ear, it's a little deeper in my opinion. So I think you definitely picked a catchier, more memorable chorus with choosing Closer first, which is track 2 on the CD. That one we've talked about when you guys were here before. And then Stranger Days. Tell us about that song.
Stranger Days was written, really, it's about kind of it's supposed to be kind of like surrealistic, kind of like the way that you might feel about somebody. It's kind of about maybe moving on into a better point in somebody's life, but also having kind of like regrets, not necessarily regrets, but seeking forgiveness for how somebody might have treated somebody. So through the verses, it's kind of speaking about, forgiveness or, imperfections that one might have. But then the chorus gets to the chorus and speaking about how somebody might feel about somebody. But I really wanted to portray it in a more artsy, surrealistic, chemically altering state of mind way. So hence why I used, like a painting of Dolly, Fell for You Madly kind of thing. And I got to throw in that Bowie at the very end, like Confessions from Bowie, I'm a huge fan, so it's cool to use that. But that was actually, Stranger Days was the one that got us signed with Ron. So it was the third song he heard from us, and it was kind of like the game changer. It kind of, whatever he heard in that really spoke to him and really pulled for us to sign with RFK Media because of that. Yeah. But I think it's kind of, it's an interesting song because it's not a ballad, but it feels like it's a ballad.
Kind of is, right?
Tempo, it's kind of like, to me, it feels like Queen meets My Chemical Romance meets like a dreamy summer day. I don't know. But it's, I think it's a special song. I think it's a crossover for sure.
Yeah. And I kind of agree with that analogy too. And then next on the record is Disco Kills. Now that one, I believe you guys had released that earlier on, right? Was that an early song?
It was the second song that we released after Breathe, which we self-released. We self-released Breathe first, and then probably about 4 months after we released Disco Kills, and we did a video for it, which is available on YouTube now. But that one, it's funny because it says, that the title is Disco Kills, so a lot of people assume it's about disco, and it's really not. It was really kind of, and I love the Bee Gees, by the way, going way back to the 60s when they.
You're not scared to admit it either.
I'm not scared to admit it. Donna Summer is amazing. She, all of it. But I wanted to write it. It is kind of like, it's about political unrest, but it's written in a tongue-in-cheek kind of metaphoric way about the conflict between rock and disco of the 70s. If you were thinking about disco as, a political party and rock a political party, it was about the clash of the two. So that's kind of like where the storyline, it's just kind of like a fun way,
Right.
and the interesting thing about Disco Kills is I grabbed that title because I always wanted to name a band Disco Kills. And obviously I don't have a band called Disco Kills. So I'm like, I'm going to use that for a song title, came up with the story, and there it is.
That's great. That's great. Well, that stood out to me because I'm from Chicago. And of course, we're kind of
Yeah.
infamous for our disco sucks uh,
Right.
back in the day, and a little bit of a crazy time at Comiskey Park where the Chicago White Sox play.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that spoke to me there. Although I did not really figure out what you were thinking there, though. So
Right.
it's interesting to hear what was on your mind when you're writing it.
Right. And I think that's another song that I worked with Mike Gillies on. He wanted me to be a little bit more tongue in cheeky with it, where the original lyrics that I did write for it before I rewrote it with Mike's direction was a little bit more intentional, like a little bit more straight to the point about kind of like political unrest. But I would say, again, I love disco. I hated the the corporatizing of disco, like disco duck. That's ridiculous, So, but all the great bands are doing it. I mean, look at Rod Stewart. I mean, that guy was wearing,
Yes,
pink tights,
yes, indeed. Disco infiltrated a lot of things. I mean, even the Rolling Stones, right? I
Yeah,
mean,
totally.
yeah, no question. All
Mhm.
right. Then the next track on the record, and this one, I'm interested to hear if what I thought I caught in the song is even right. That one is called Tilly,
Mhm.
and that one sounded like maybe it was like not just a story, like maybe there was something in your real life regarding that song. Is there something real extra personal with Tilly?
Uh, yeah, well, not directly personal with me, but it is about somebody that is directly personal to Stacy, actually. So that song came about because Stacy sent me the music to it, the idea. And the funny thing is he said, "Hey, I got this idea," and and sometimes he'll send a song and he'll just give me a title, which kind of like triggers an idea. Like, okay, great title, I'll work around that and write, that way. So this happened to be that time where he gave me a title, which was Jenny O. And so when he said, the song, I want to call it Jenny O, I sent him a screenshot of Jenny O turkey. And I
Right.
said, the turkey? I said, no, man, it's got to be a little bit more ambiguous, like Tilly or something. So he said, oh, I like that. So it became Tilly. So the next trip out to Vegas that we had was for, I think a show or maybe some tracking. I'm not really sure, but I made the trip out to Vegas because I was living in San Diego at the time. And he told me about one of his students who he teaches guitars to. Her daughter had recently committed suicide due to the mental and emotional abuse that she suffered from her boyfriend. And he
Mm-hmm.
showed me a photo of her, and her hair was colored fuchsia at that time, which is why there's the line in there, fuchsia brings me back to you, fuchsia lights the skies of June.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but within 15 minutes wrote that song, and the lyrics it was like just like this cathartic purge. And I still get emotional when I hear it. Like I wrote it in it was almost like an outer body experience. So when I hear it, it's like I'm feeling it, and it's like I'm hearing it for the first time every time. So it became very personal to me because Tilly is kind of like this ambiguous title because there's so many Tillys out there,
Mm-hmm.
that might be suffering and, kind of feeling the same, alone, or, you know, feeling the abuse of somebody else, and that's, you know, kind of what that is about. So,
Gotcha. Yeah, that's a sad thing for that girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah,
me sad.
it is.
But
Yeah, I think it was that was probably the most important song for us to complete and release so that Aaron could be immortalized in that way
mhm.
and her family could have that song. So when that was completed, and it's on the album and we have it on the physical album and it's downloadable. I feel like that's the greatest gift that we have with this album is in that song, honestly, between me. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Hmm. Well, I'm
Yeah.
sure her family appreciates it, even though it's probably a little hard for them at the same time. I'm sure they
Yeah.
appreciate you guys doing that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can't wait to get the physical copy. I just ordered it this morning, so I don't
Oh,
have the
cool.
physical yet.
It's a
Uh,
nice, it's nice. It's good. I have one right here.
yeah, let's see, man. Let's see that booklet. That's always the best part.
Oh, I don't have it open yet, so I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you
It's an
open.
unboxing.
Yeah, but this is it.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's a really nice package. It's a 12-page booklet inside, and I'm eager to hear what you think of it, Ralph.
I will let you know for sure. And
Yeah.
sorry, all you young people that only like downloads. That is the way to listen to music.
Yeah.
Physical, whether
Oh, I also want to tell you this because I also listen to music like this.
I love it.
Yeah.
I've been going through some old cassette tapes, but I don't have a current player that works, so I'm jealous of
No?
the one that works.
The funny thing is that is the exact same tape player I had as a kid, and I used to hold it on my handlebars riding my bike like this, just
That's
as
awesome.
brick. It's like a cinder block. That's how you had to listen to music back in the day.
Absolutely. But man, you're gonna have to help me out because right here, I pulled this one out because I need to hear this. So I have this labeled. I don't know if you can see that
Yeah.
Alice Cooper interview from 1987.
Oh, wow.
Well, this was back when I was at the radio station, and this probably is an Alice Cooper interview. But what I've been looking for is back then he recorded for me. He came to the studio in person and he recorded for me and he did the interview with another DJ. And then for my show, he did some really funny drop-ins. They were just fantastic. And I found the reel-to-reel tape of it, but I don't have a reel-to-reel machine that's currently working either. And I'm like, man, I want to hear these again. It's been decades. So then when I was going through the cassettes, I found this. I'm like, you know what? Knowing me, I probably recorded the interview, but then I probably put the drop-ins on here as well so I could hear them in the car. I'm sure that's what I did. So this is my only hope of seeing if I can recover those drop-ins.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. Foo Fighters actually, not to get off topic, but they put out with their last album a cassette. So
I think Metallica did too when they re-released Garage Days. I think they did a cassette version.
Yeah,
it's
I
so
love
funny.
It's just another experience. So.
Mm-hmm. It is, but it's interesting seeing these formats come back, don't you think? I mean, next thing you know, 8-track tape will be back or something.
Yeah,
I hope not, because I never was a fan of those. But
yeah, that's pretty bad.
I have some, but I wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
All right. Well, now that we got through half the album, let's keep going. So the next track is on that fine CD is "Shake the Dead Awake," and that song is one that I believe I recently played it on the show, maybe not yet, but that was another one that stood out to me early on as I went through listening to the whole record. Your vocal, I particularly made that song for me. Sometimes it's the guitar and the vocal, or just the guitar, just the vocal, But that song, I really like the way you sing that one more than some of the others. Even just there's something about, I don't know. It's like I don't know. I can't even describe it, but you have a lot of power when you're singing that song.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I think and that's interesting because I felt like that was the one that I didn't personally nail as good as I wish I did. So
really?
That it hits you that way. Yeah.
It does. It did.
Yeah. Sometimes it's
so tell us your backstory on that one.
Yeah. So that was one that Dave Harris presented as well too. Music sent me the track, and he and I write a lot of, we kind of like see eye to eye. It's kind of like this intuitive. He knows what I'm feeling. He really writes around kind of like my voice. He really likes to bring out that power which you're speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
So this song was definitely one of them. And that was at the time I was listening to a lot of Queens of the Stone Age, like the last Feet Don't Fail Me Now, or was a song that I kept repeating over and over again. And he was lyrically speaking about, I believe, something like, the birth of blues, or him, his like kind of like journey or whatever. And it kind of inspired me to write about New York City, kind of like the birth of punk and its transition into post-punk and everything that was happening at CBGB's.
Mm-hmm.
So I think visually, like when I look through books, and I'm always, looking through old rock books, and it's like when you get to stuff like Bob Gruen's book of the Clash and CBGB's, New York Dolls, Blondie, Ramones, it's so iconic and beautiful in a seedy, dirty rock and roll way.
Right.
And that really was what it was about. Soul Baptism is like that punk rock birth, and then transitioning into like this Talking Heads, the Police at CBGB's, or Blondie at CBGB's. And I really kind of wanted to portray that seedy New York vibe, sweating, the devil's music. And, I think it kind of caught that, and kind of like the urgency. So that's why I feel like it's a little punk rockish in a way, especially when we get to that chorus. And then that breakdown, it's just kind of like the wheels fall off,
Right. They do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know. Well, I do remember last time when you guys were here, your bass player was with us last time, and I know the Clash he had mentioned as being one of his favorites. So that makes sense. Staring at Ceilings, we had jumped ahead and started talking. We already talked about that one. Death on a Holiday. That's the one that I most recently played on our music shows. Another just powerful track. So tell us about that one.
That was the first one that we wrote actually as a band. And that was, this one is going back before COVID, actually. So we started playing this, I think we actually played it when the four of us, Dave, Carl, Stacy, and I, were the very last show for Electric Radio Kings before we went to COVID and regrouped, reformed, rebranded, and started Crashing Wayward. So this is kind of a carryover, but in a good way, because it is the very first kind of like banger that we wrote. And it's really, Death on Holiday is speaking about, ending the war. Holiday is, let's send death on vacation,
Please.
Yeah. So it's really kind of like, it's a little bit more of that political unrest, because at the time it was so heavy. I mean, we're still not out of it. When will we ever be out of it? But it was, when that was all that was happening before COVID, it was just like this political turmoil, war, everybody clashing, gun violence, this and that. So that's what it was. Let's send death on holiday. Let's get it out of here.
Good. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I wish we could achieve that.
That would be beautiful.
I love to know there's somebody else thinking that way, though.
Yeah.
And then Paper Airplane Heart. I just listened to that one again today. I hadn't listened to it for a couple of days. Yeah, that's just kind of funny. Paper Airplane Heart. I mean, what made you think of that?
I don't know how that came about. I think sometimes I start with a chorus. Sometimes I always kind of like in my phone, I'll do voice notes, or I'll jot down just kind of like song titles or some lyrics. I love starting with kind of like a metaphor. I forgot who I was listening to, but a songwriter as well too, a frontman, and he was like, you got to start with a good metaphor. I was like, oh, that's cool, because I actually kind of do that a lot of times, you know. Mouth of God's ear was something that I heard somebody say. I'm like, I got to write a song about that. So Paper Airplane Heart, I think, is just something I kind of made up. But I don't know. Maybe it was Stone Temple Pilots tripping on a hole in a paper, heart or something. I don't know. But it was, I started writing the chorus, and it was, someone, call me from the dark, one more trip around the sun. And how do we go around the sun? Airplane, a shuttle. I'm vulnerable, I'm fragile, paper, airplane, heart. That's maybe how it happened.
That's so interesting, because
Yeah.
that title, and then hearing it, just it cracks me up. I like that.
Yeah. So it really is. It's a song about, getting through one more day. So, in hopes that it's one more trip around the sun. So that's what that is.
Gotcha. Gotcha. And then Breathe is the next track on the album, which was, I believe, the second official single release, if I remember. Or was that the first one? No, second one.
That was our very first one that we
first one. That's right. That's when you guys were on before. Was new. That's right.
Yeah. So that was the very first release that we did self-release, and then that we released this past December with RFK Media. So it was the first official RFK release, and kind of like the announcement of this album. But yeah, that song's I still think it's a very relatable, timeless anthem, and it's all about intolerance and inclusion. And so I think it's just I think we only scratched the surface on that one. Not enough people have heard it yet. I think there's so many more people that do need to hear it.
I'm with you. I love your whole positive messages you're trying to put in the universe, man. That's good.
Yeah, thank you.
And then the last track, I really haven't delved into. I only heard it once, so I have no notions about this song or anything. But Velvet's Drawn is how the record ends, and I honestly, because I only heard it once, I don't know. So tell us about that song. I have no commentary at all on that one.
Yeah, so that is it's another heavy topic. That was about Stacy's ex, who they went through a breakup in March of 21. And then she ended up passing away November of 21. So Stacy presented the music to me, asked me to write the lyrics and melody to it, and he was kind of telling me what he was thinking it was about. He said, I think this one's for Paula. So I started writing that, and originally it was about a breakup that he was going through, and kind of like, moving on or not being seen in the relationship. And then she passed away. And the interesting about that song is I tracked that song 3 times. I tracked it one time. Mike played it for me, and this is before Paula passed away. And I said, you know what? I'm not feeling strong enough about this melody. I think I can do better at this. So I came back out from San Diego and tracked it one more time. And I went home that night. Mike sent me the session for the day and said, take a listen to this. I think this is really strong. And I think it was going to be, all right, that's good. Like, we're going to move on. That's a wrap on that song. I woke up the next morning to Stacy telling me, calling me and letting me know that Paula had passed away. So I hit up Mike right away and said, I don't feel right with this song lyrically. Speaking of a breakup, I need to rewrite the lyrics, and I have a new idea for a melody. And I came in and tracked it again. It is, what you hear right now.
You came up with it that quick?
Yeah, it was just one of those things that was pulling, It was like, all right, here's the idea, you know. And there were some certain words that were in there that, because it was a breakup song before, that was very important for me to kind of switch and change direction. And it only makes it even more of a better song. And I think when you're writing songs, you have to be open for change, you know, because we thought, you know, this is why we have a producer or we have input from everybody else. We have to be okay that, especially when you go in and track a song, things are going to change. And most of the time it's going to change for the better. You know, not every song works out when you track it. Right. And this is one of those songs that thankfully it changed and evolved into what it was. And Paul's lucky number was 11. Ironically, I have 11 tattooed on my throat from my mom, whose lucky number was 11. So
interesting.
That is why we put that song number 11, and it's the last song on the album.
Gotcha. Well, that is a great insight. That's great. A great story. A sad story, but a great story.
It is, yeah. So again, it's like with Aaron and Tilly and Paula, they're immortalized on these albums. And, you know, I think that's very important for us to have done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think it's great that you care enough to do that.
Yeah.
And like I say, I love the positiveness positivity you're trying to put out lyrically too, you know. I think we need more positivity in the world. I keep saying peace, love, and rock and roll is my mantra, and we need more to sign on to that. You know, I get so sad, like you said, the political unrest drives me nuts. The Ukraine thing, all these mass shootings, and it drives me crazy. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why?
Right.
We're here for such a short time. Why can't we just be cool with each other? You know?
Yeah. I know music for me is just one of those things where I can, you know, I love all art. You know, I consider myself an artist. I paint, you know, I love writing and stuff like that. But music is just one of those things that I think, as cliche as it sounds, it is the universal language, you know?
It is.
So I try to, you know, lyrically bring something. I've been in bands where I wrote stuff that's about having a good time and partying. But, you know, if I'm going to use this platform, I want to use it for good and hopefully, you know, put some positivity out there.
Yeah. Well, I think you're doing that, Peter. I think you're doing that.
Thank you.
That's so cool, man. Well, thank you so much for going through the songs with us and giving us a little insight to how they were written and why they were written. And again, everybody, the record's called Listen. So please listen to it, but even better, buy a physical copy of it. Yeah, great stuff, man. So now that it's out, what do we got for support? You guys going out and doing a bunch of shows, or what's next for you?
Yeah, so we really want to get out there and play. I think I keep telling everybody that, you know, if you love what you're hearing, even like what you're hearing, or you're not sure, come see us, because we're going to convince you, because our live show is, you know, we're growing and we're only getting better every show. And we put it all out there on, you know, blood, sweat, and tears all over that stage. And we sell it. We're a legit live rock, modern alternative rock band. And I think that's
to that, folks. I saw them in March, and that is correct.
Yeah. So I mean, that's where we want to be. I want to write, I want to record, and I want to get out there and I want to play anywhere, for anyone and everyone. So we're really hoping that we can get overseas soon, but of course, you know, tour nationally. We do have a show coming up end of June in Las Vegas for our album release. It's going to be kind of like a more immersive event. Going to have some art in there, some food trucks, maybe some tattoos, and
fun.
You know, so it's like a little mini festival, but it's going to be a lot of fun. And we're going to, you know, we got a couple of extra songs that we're working on for that night. We do have Salt Lake City coming up, but
and what's the date for your Vegas?
June 28th.
June 28th
at the Industrial Sound. And
the venue, Industrial Sound, or that
Industrial Sound. Yeah, it's a new awesome space. The crew there is like old roadies, techs, you know, working with like everybody from Justin Timberlake to Three Doors Down, you know, so these guys know their stuff that's running there. The sound is incredible stage, you know, 50-foot LED, you know, backdrop, you know, so we're going to have projections, everything, light show. It's going to be kind of like the first one for us. So it's going to be a great time. And all that information is available at crashingwayward.com. You can get tickets to that and any upcoming, you know, shows and info and stuff.
Perfect. All right. Well, that's awesome. All right. Anything else we should catch up on, or did we cover it all?
I think you covered it all. Just please follow us on all our socials at Crashing Wayward, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. Like and subscribe. Hit that notification.
Yes, folks, and I agree. And also, I signed up too. They have a mailing list too, right? For email. Yeah, still like the email thing. So I did that in addition to all these likes and follows. So you can do that too. That's at crashingwayward.com. Well, Peter, thank you so much for coming back to Radio Bypass. I'm so happy for you. It was seems like a long time since we talked last of the album coming out, but really it hasn't been that long. But I'm really happy for you guys that it's out there now. Hope it does really well for you. I'm sure it will. A lot of great material, guys. The whole record's great. As I said earlier, I'm still digesting it all because that's how good it is. You got to give it some time to work through your system. It needs repeated listening. So check it out. Crashing Wayward. Listen is the record. Peter Summit, our guest here today. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you, Ralph.
Yeah, so we ended the interview, but I forgot one important thing that I wanted to ask Peter, and also to let all of you guys know that are listening to this. We're going to play some Crashing Wayward music at the end of this chat here today, and I wanted to have Peter pick a song or two. So we're back, and Peter, what do you think? What should we play from the record?
I'll pick two songs. And it's going to be two songs that have not been released yet.
Make my notes.
Yeah. I'm going to pick Mouth to God's Ear.
Okay, good choice.
Thank you. And I think I'm going to pick Tilly because I think that's an important one and it's been getting a lot of buzz actually. So I'm interested to hear what your audience thinks of that one.
All right. So guys, we're going to do this in that exact order then. We'll at the end of this, you're going to first hear Mouth to God's Ear. Then you'll hear Tilly, both from the new record. Please, if you can, take a little time to jot me a quick note or comment on Facebook or something. Let us know what you thought of that song. And then I think I will add one pick as well. And since this was really made me listen to it several times yesterday and today, I think I got to go with Staring at Ceilings.
You know, that's why I picked my other two because I knew you were going to do that one. So
I'm too predictable.
Yeah.
All right. So now we're really going to wrap up our talking, but guys, stick around and check these songs out. Here comes Mouth to God's Ear from Crashing Wayward.
Is it love? got fear.